Techno party. Welcome to Turku Saatanalle 8 Black Metal Festival. With here we have obviously quite a few nice bands. And we're gonna start with one. But before we go on, this is a shout out to Mr. Iron Priest, one of the supporters supporting the channel. Thank you, sir. Now we have some Norwegian legends here. This band is called Tulus, and we'll start with introduction. Can you please introduce yourself to the camera, sir?
Brostrup from Tulus.
And what are your instruments?
Vocals and guitars.
Vocals and guitars. And you?
I'm Starke, play the drums.
And you, sir?
Krobel, bass player. Thank you.
All right. So, you are out with a new album, just actually today, the 6th of March 2020, for the records and logs.
Yes.
And that is called Old Death.
Yes.
And it was kind of a surprise, suddenly all of a, like, boom. There is new album out, no so much hype going on. Mr. Sarke, can you enlighten us? How come it came so surprisingly?
We had some singles out, so it's some people knew it, and a lot of people order stuff already, so the sales go quite good. And we actually was supposed to release the album a bit later, but since we are doing some concerts now, we wanted to have it out so people also here could have the possibility to buy it and hear it before it came out. So I guess that's why.
The style of music with Old Death is very much what you have been always doing since the debut album Pure Black Energy.
Yeah.
It's mid-tempo, it's very Norwegian sounding, it's a kind of a twisty and lots of bass, which is not so much a given thing, especially when we're talking about Norsecore.
Yes, yes.
But maybe more importantly, it's all about this kind of a mid-tempo grooviness, which kind of it's lacking all the way from 1990s typical black metal. How did you end up creating this style of your own?
I think it's our background with the music we grew up with. You know, Black Sabbath, Motorhead, Led Zeppelin, and that kind of music. That's important to that is it's groovy and you can hear the instruments, and but we do also like the black metal feeling and very hard music, a lot of energy. So we try to combine that a little bit. Of course, you can't hear too much Led Zeppelin and stuff, but the way we feel when we play and the type of groove we want to have.
And you hear Led Zeppelin in the groove.
Yeah.
If you want it, if you put your mind to it, and the drums is.
Yeah, and we don't want to be that very fast band. It's a lot of bands who try to play very fast.
We can do that.
Yeah, we can't even do it, I guess. But we like that groovy stuff. So, and as you say, on this new album, we talked about it, and we want to go back to Pure Black Energy. How we did that album, and we rehearsed in the same way. We tried to make it simple, basic, groovy, with some.
Well, we actually rehearsed this time.
Yeah.
Because we had to. Because this time we played it, we recorded it live, and that's what's important to us, to do this live, because, well,
You need to have a certain kind of feeling?
yeah.
No click track, you know, no.
We have done that. You know, click tracks. We have edited stuff in other projects. So everybody does that. So this time we wanted to do it like the old bands did.
Like the old school style?
Yeah,
Really?
we did not use. Well, it was digital. It was not.
Analog?
Right. So, but same feeling. Press record, play, and that's it.
Full band.
Full band.
All right. Talking about the bass, it's kind of more dominating on this album as versus so many other black metal bands where the bass might be just mixed all like on the background. Like we have a bass player, but you cannot really hear him. How does this affect you?
I like to. I'm actually a guitarist from the origin, but I think it's when I hear the old Tulus albums, it used to be like when Frode was around in Tulus, he did a certain thing with the bass that made melodies. And I've played with Frode in another band for several years, so I know his capability, and the style it's how to say, it's I've played together with him for maybe 25 years in another band, so it's
There's a connection.
yeah, there's it
Kind of a wavelength.
yeah, just to keep it going, the same thoughts,
Yeah.
if you know what I
Same
mean.
style.
Yeah, same style.
That's what we like.
Yeah.
You know, people ask us, how do you incorporate the bass? How do you think when you write music? Well, we don't think about the bass. He's free. He can do whatever he wants. The guitar is mostly the.
Kind of a dominating element.
Well, do you think so?
I don't know. Sometimes it, many times.
Yeah, well-
not necessarily maybe in your case because of the strong bass and you know you don't have
The
6-man band.
Foundation of the music lies in the guitars, so it's a little bit more strict for me. And these guys improvise more, so and that's how we go. So what you're gonna hear today, it's probably gonna be a little bit different than on the album, because we always evolve in our music. So.
Yeah.
I can also say that in some bands, as you say, the bass is in the background a little bit, but in Tulus the bass is just as important as the drums
Yeah.
and the guitar
As it should
and
be.
the vocal. Yeah. Well, we are very fan of good bass player also. So for us it's a good thing, because when we listen to music, we often hear bands that have good bass players and they play a little bit. And also live, I think it's quite cool when the bass player is very good.
So there's more like breathing space in those frequencies as well.
Yeah. So when we mix the album, the bass is very important.
All right, let's talk a little bit about history. You've been around for about 30 years. That is under the name of Tulus.
Yes.
But some people might not even remember that you're like one of the actual first waves of Norwegian bands. I mean, there were lots of bands which came a little bit before, like Darkthrone and maybe some Burzum, but still, you know, you were among the first.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you didn't get the recognition because you were like, how would I say it politely, a little bit late. You know, it's 1996 when you got your first album out, but still you're long timers. But then only after a few years, and this is more for the audience, not like I'm not telling you what you did. Khold came in, and suddenly Tulus was no more until you kind of scrapped Khold, and then Tulus was back.
Yeah.
So what's the whole deal with this Tulus Khold cycle? Because you're mostly same members, but not fully the same band. Who wants to go?
True. Well, basically, we signed with Moonfog, and we wanted to be, well, go, you know, play live and do stuff like that. We didn't do that with Tulus at all. Well, we did once, but then we wanted to be a more of a live band, so we brought in another guitar player, and we did Khold, and it was Sonicate who suggested that we change the name, so we did, and we're happy about that now, because for us Tulus has been more of a progressive thing where we can experiment with whatever we want, different musicians, and you know, violins, piano, whatever. And we didn't want to do that with Khold. We wanted to be straight in your face black metal.
But you both are like mid-tempo bands, and you could say like your brother and sister in a terms.
Absolutely.
But I mean, like so many other bands, when they want to go like side project ways, they just do something totally different. Like, you know, for example, that using like that Satyr example there with that and Darkthrone, when they went to this called Storm,
Right.
that was like totally folky stuff. You couldn't put it in the same page with Satyricon or Darkthrone, but you had quite similar, but still different also. So you had like
That's
Two
because
bands.
it was almost the same band in the beginning. We just wanted to play live without the keyboards and the effects. Just be a heavy band, a heavy form of Tulus.
Yeah.
But as he said, we're glad that we could go back to
That we
Tulus.
separated
Yeah,
it
yeah.
because so we can be, well, actually we were, of course we could have been more experimental with Khold if we wanted to just be the same band. But,
And, and you say we go back in time to 90, we actually starting play this kind of music in 87.
87 already.
Yeah, so we knew the Mayhem guys, we knew the Darkthrone guys when the demo came out and stuff, but we play sort of different kind of music, a bit more metal, maybe.
you mean like metal in traditional metal, maybe?
started
Yeah,
out
you
more
know,
like thrash metal.
Sodom Creator,
Okay.
that kind of music. So we started quite early with, getting into the black metal scene. But in '91 we started the Tulus.
You were quite young also. If I'm not mistaken, you were
Yeah,
from
yeah.
1974,
Yeah.
which makes you being like something like 15 back in the
No,
days?
17,
Correct.
17, 18, I think.
He was born in 71.
71.
He's
old man.
real old.
Yeah.
Okay, you're real old.
Yeah.
But basically, so you're like teenagers, and then you suddenly like find this black metal thing, and
We went to Darkthrone concerts, Mayhem, and it was quite cool to say. And a Finnish band called Abhorrence.
yeah,
they played
the
in Norway.
pre-Amorphis.
Yeah. They played in
Little
In
venue
Oslo.
in Oslo.
yeah, very good. Yeah. So well, of course we
You know what?
like that. So.
I remember his chord. It was so stiff and it was yellow and it went like this. It was so weird, but it sounded brutal. I don't remember any songs, but I remember the feeling.
The chord.
it was
The
very
chord had the feeling.
Yeah.
It was cool. Yeah.
It's such a cool place to be for teenagers because it was for the teenagers, but so, bands who was just up and coming, bands who didn't have any place to go. All kids were there and play this kind of music, and when Abhorrence came and Darkthrone played back in the day, it was they were two teenagers, so it was really good.
But why black metal? Why of all the styles? You mentioned heavy metal, you mentioned thrash metal, you mentioned the forefathers of heavy metal like Led Zeppelin and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But why black metal? Why all that satanic thing and so forth? What got you into that?
It was a new thing. We played thrash metal. Did the Metallica, the Creator, Slayer, and all that stuff. We couldn't play it like Slayer, like Metallica. Obviously, we were 16, 17 years old. So we went to do, we heard, actually you heard Darkthrone prior to their first black metal album.
Yeah, I was
at
at the
the rehearsal.
rehearsals and stuff.
And he came home and he said, "We got to do black metal." And what's that? And I found out.
It's a very brutal stuff live at rehearsal and they played, and it was very cool. And you get that feeling and the vibe, and it was quite cool.
That's how it started.
Also, for your first album, it's very different in style. I'm talking about the visuals and the feeling, even though the music is quite same. When I was reviewing the new album,
Okay.
I was just browsing, through the history to kind of refresh my memory, and suddenly when Pure Black Energy came in, oh yes, there was this vampire cover, if you will, with the kind of a fun, I wouldn't say funny here, but kind of a gothic feeling with that picture. It's very different from nowadays.
It's Dickens. Charles Dickens. Actually, am I going to tell you this?
Up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, please do.
Well, my girlfriend, my wife, she was doing makeup. And she was doing this as a school project.
Okay.
So that's how we ended up looking like that.
So there's an interesting story to it, actually.
Yeah. So that's the beginning. It's characters from Charles Dickens. I don't remember the play, but one of them.
All right.
Actually.
And also that we are always try to be a bit different.
Yes.
No, we don't normally have that normal
Yeah.
spec and stuff.
Now I'm gonna do a little bit of sidetrack question. Now that we mentioned Khold and your previous, like pre-Tulus phases, we also must mention Sonicate, your other band.
I'll take that. Go ahead.
What can you tell it about it, and why do you have to have that
Okay.
aside with Tulus and Khold?
I don't have to.
But why do you have it?
There was a period around 2007, 8, 9. I think he was also a bit tired
Yeah.
of music, and I always had to create music.
Yeah.
No, I always had to make something.
That's the reason.
Can't relax. Always had to do something.
I wanted a break.
Yeah, nothing.
I needed a break.
Yeah, nothing happened.
Sorry.
And I had this music, and I thought I want to do an album by myself where I can do everything. So I talked to a record company, and they said, "Fine, go." And Nocturnal Culto from Darkthrone, I know from way back.
Yep.
And I think it will be good to work with him. So I called him and asked, "Should you sing on my album?" And he said, "No, of course." But I said, "Okay, I'll come to you anyway." So I went to his place and played the stuff, and he said, "Okay, I will sing." So that's why I have Sørke, and I make music on Sørke that has inspired me. So Sørke is a bit more like other bands I'm listening to. So and it was supposed to be one album.
It's always supposed to be just one album, and suddenly, like, boom.
Yeah, they had a break, and I was doing my own stuff, and I played everything on the album on myself, and got it out, and that was it. But the record company said it did very well, and they did want another album. So, okay.
I'm gonna use this as a warning speech. Now, kids, when you're, doing your first bands, you get you signed to the label and whatnot. Be very prepared about those labels. They just have those whips and carrots. Like, okay, Pony, come here. We're gonna do a little album. Take some money, okay? And suddenly you just lose track. Now we mentioned you. We have to mention you. You said that you started with guitar, not bass, but you ended up being bass player. But let's backtrack to your guitar parts.
Yeah.
What made you to become a guitar player, and what made you to force to be changed to bass?
You did. We forced him.
Back in 89, I started a band together with Gunde, the former bass player of Tulus. I think I was about. His name was Gottskalt back then. Yeah,
Back then it was Gottskalt.
okay. So we were teenagers. Like I was, I think, 15. He was 16, I guess.
1 year.
Yeah. So this band was Minas Tirith.
Inspired by Tolkien, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah. It actually. And we had this band for until 2006. Released a few albums, and I was the guitar player. And this turned out to be pretty, I would say, progressive metal band inspired by progressive rock from the 70s, I guess. And I had kids, but I still played guitar back home for myself, didn't have a band, and then suddenly one day one of you guys called. Don't remember.
He did. I told him to call you.
Are you the boss?
Would you like
Secret
to
boss.
play bass guitar in Tulus? This was in 2009, I think. Of course,
Like, why not?
I will do it, and we
He's one of
Travel
my favorite
to-
guitar players, so I wanted him in the band.
Just
Okay.
remove 2 strings and like,
Yeah.
you have only 4 now.
He can do it.
But in the beginning, I remember one of the first times I played bass. It was really painful because I was on stage and this will never work out. So I have to get used to it. So it's quite different from the guitar playing. But now it's okay.
Like the second nature.
Yeah, I've been in Tulus for I think 10 years now.
Maybe
So
2010.
yeah. So it's natural to be bass player in Tulus. It's good.
All right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a little bit about lyrics of nowadays. Obviously, things change when you're like 15 or even 20, and suddenly, fast track, you are 45, you're 50 or something like that. How does things change in your opinion when writing stuff, be it songwriting, but even more so with lyrics?
Lyrics. What can I say? My wife wrote them from the beginning. Actually. So she used to do poems and stuff like that. So I snatched a few poems and we started. The first album was just poems that she wrote, not necessarily lyrics for us. And she continued to write our lyrics. And if it changed so much, I don't know. Well, we always liked them. And they were never childish, I think.
Well, women usually are more mature in
Yes.
terms of brain and intellect.
Yeah.
So I guess we didn't have that, burning churches, kill those priests.
No.
No.
We
We never had that kind of lyrics. Satan is king.
We were called Satanists, but we never
No.
had that, actually.
So our lyrics, as you said, is a bit the same as we had back then. And for us, it's very good lyrics. She writes much better than us. And the music, you said, writing music, we try to do in the same way as we always do.
Yeah. It's all about inspiration.
Yeah.
When we're inspired, it will flow better. And when we're not inspired,
Just create side projects.
maybe we shouldn't do it yet,
Yeah.
And some bands, like the young, they get better and better and playing, and they play faster and faster and more complex, but we try to avoid that. So
you're basically fighting that technicality,
Yeah.
okay, let's not go there, that's
Yeah,
like forbidden forest.
yeah. The groove, 4x4, Yeah.
All right, let's talk about a little bit about being Norwegian. People so often say
That's
that
so
Norwegian are the shit. They created black metal, when older people usually remember like, no, there were lots of bands prior to that. But so many people, I'm not saying you necessarily, but lots of people are like kind of claiming the glory that Norwegians brought black metal to the map and they created and they made all the rules and how it looks, how it sounds, blah, blah, blah.
Well, that's it's a bit true.
Yeah, it's somewhat true. I agree. I agree. But I'm just there to kind of enlighten the younger audience, especially that how things have changed. And you may punch me right after this interview about this comment, but I'm going to say it anyway. Norwegian black metal went on decline right after, say, late 90s or early 2000s. With some exceptions, I count you being part of that, not being on the decline, but so many older bands went on decline, and some other countries started to pop up and kind of to feel that kind of a vacuum.
Well,
but how do you see in hindsight? Like
if you
this?
ask me, I never listened to black metal. Well, I did it back in the day, of course.
Of course.
But I haven't stayed with Dark Throne. I like Dark Throne, but I never listened to it. The other day I heard Satyricon, one of the latest albums, by accident, Spotify, and it came up, and it was quite good, but I don't listen to it. And if it was a decline, as you tell us,
that's just my opinion. Obviously.
Yeah, sure. I wouldn't know because I didn't pay attention to the other bands, so I don't know.
I think when the scene gets so big as it is now, everything waters out a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's not like the back, a few bands, original, it's something new, exciting. But then Dimmeborger came with a lot of keyboard and other bands take, and the Swedish, a lot of melody,
yeah,
the guitar,
Swedes especially,
and everything waters out. So
It has to. It has to progress somewhere. We couldn't play black metal.
You couldn't do Bathory 1948 forever.
No, So it has to. People made on call Tulus black metal, and I call it black metal because it's convenient. But if people make up your own mind if you call it black metal or whatever kind of metal you want to call it, as Gene Simmons said, it's all rock and roll. I think that was a great statement because that's true.
And what I can say about Norwegian band, that is very positive. That even though the Solo Some band came out in the early 90s, they are all original. No, Darkthrone doesn't sound like Enslaved or Emperor or Immortal. They all have their own sound.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and often to say Swedish bands, or they have some bands that are doing well, and a lot of copies came out of it.
Yeah.
No, it's not bad about that, but they all always often sound the same. American band, they have some kind of style. Some bands are very good and sell albums. You have 100 bands that sounds the same. I feel in Norway, often the bands have their own sound.
Because we're so few people. We couldn't have 40 copycats. Like, obviously America has so many bands, so many different bands, but they also have hundreds of bands following the leader.
But don't you think that happens in all kind of scenes? I mean, if you take whatever big city
Well, probably
or big country,
there are probably some younger bands which sounds like Enslaved or I don't know. I don't know, maybe.
but for example, like Greek scene, they have their own sound and they yet still sound quite different. And it seems like nobody's copying them, but Norwegian bands seem to be kind of like the holy grail of black metal, or at least used to be back in the days so much. But how does it feel at you? Because obviously you are younger, older generation versus the younger ones. I mean, the younger bands who just came here, okay, I bought my first guitar, did my first demo, I'm gonna look up to these guys. Do you have words of wisdom to those guys, or do you just give a damn even?
Well, we like kids. Of course.
I think that it's important that they believe in their own music.
Yeah.
You know, to do not try to. You can have inspiration from them, but believe in yourself. And if you like it,
Somebody
make
else
it
will like
happen,
it too.
and then other will like it. You know, even though
Try to be original.
yeah, and it's not about how good you are. You know, it's how. You know, music is about feelings and inspiration and stuff. So it's not about how fast you can play on YouTube. So make your own music.
Yeah, I know what kind of videos you mean.
And believe it. And even if your neighbors say it sucks, there are people out there that also like it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One last thing which I'm gonna touch a little bit because it's so much on the pages of websites and even printed magazines is politics and black metal. I'm personally apolitical as they come, but I still get to read about this and it kind of annoys me, brings a little bit of vomit into my mouth even I think about it. But let's face it, it's right there, politics and black metal. And for various reasons, what are your thoughts about this unholy marriage?
Politics and black metal?
Do you have even a clue what I'm talking about?
No, actually, I don't.
Next! Okay, what about you, sir?
I don't mix politics and music. I understand American rappers that want to be angry and have a statement.
Like in a punk way.
That's their thing, but for us, no, we don't want to mix it.
What do you think about these bands that are like voluntarily going into that direction, even though it basically originally had nothing to do with black metal? Do you think it's force-fed, or is it just another step in evolution, like you mentioned?
Well, as I say, I don't really give a damn what other bands do, or so if they want to do it, that's their thing. If it's cool, okay. If it's not, sorry.
What about religion then? That it used to be a big thing in black metal especially. It was known for not only church arsons, but in general like standing up for, against religion. Especially Christianity has very, very bloody history all throughout Nordic countries, Norway, Sweden, Finland, so forth.
Yeah.
All like, you take the sword into your, chest, or behead you, or you just accept Christ and this obviously created a counterculture, but nowadays that seems too a little bit diluted. Is it because the world is more secular nowadays, or is it because something else maybe?
Is it just is that then untrendy? Now, Christianity. I'm not a Christian. I don't care about how they behaved back in the days when they were trying to make everybody Christian. But it's not a problem for me.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. And I don't care about Christianity, and hopefully they don't care too much about me. So, yeah.
All right. Do you have any words of wisdom about this topic?
Same as politics,
elaborate.
we don't try to mix Christianity with our music. So
All right.
We have our own religion, the music.
The music. Now, this is a good
Or the money.
good excuse to say bye-bye and all that stuff. Do you have any tips for the new bands? If you had one wisdom, collectively or individually, what that would be?
Hang in there, do what you do.
Yeah.
I answered that earlier, didn't I?
Yeah.
Enjoy it. That's do what you want.
This is all from with Tulus guys from the Turku Saatanalle 8 festival. Thank you for sticking with us. Go check out these guys' latest albums and obviously go all the back to the history, find out where they started, and you will understand why they're such a good band. Stay tuned for more reviews, interviews, and whatever coming your way. Take care and be cool to yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lots of wisdom there.
Thank you.